Hey, good morning. It is 11:30 Eastern. You know what time that is. It's the Evolve to Win show with Heather and Paul.
Thank you, Polly, for that outstanding
I've always wanted to do that on a TV show. Like, that's how they do it, right?
Yeah.
So what's our topic today?
Our topic today is massive productivity during the holidays. And this is the single best time for building your business, the single best time for sales, the single best time for productivity in general. And my guess is, as you're hearing this, you're thinking,
Totally.
It's not a chance. Because we're just coming off, it's Monday after Thanksgiving. I hope that you guys had an awesome Thanksgiving. We did. We went out to Orlando, hung out with family.
Yeah.
Maybe hopped on your scale this morning and said, hey, I won my high score. So
Is that what happened to you?
I did not get on. I did not even give my scale the chance to talk to me. Actually, and for Thanksgiving dinner, the only thing we made this year was reservations, which was new and unique. And I got to say, I recommend it. No cooking, no cleanup, just time with family, precious, precious time with family. All right. So why am I telling you that this is the single best time for productivity during the holidays when we all know that the paradigm out there is that people have holiday brain and they're really not doing things productively at work. So let me talk to you about this paradigm concept. Paradigm is just a fancy 3-syllable word for belief system. So our habitual beliefs around holidays typically are that during holiday season, nobody's really working that much. Everybody's taking their vacation days that they didn't use up during the year. It's like, use it or lose it. So I think in general, we have this group think going on that nothing gets done during the holidays. So if you...
So a paradigm, right? So you're talking about a paradigm, right?
Paradigm,
So
yes.
A paradigm is, a lot of people know what a paradigm is, but it's kind of like, the old story of Roger Banister. Have you ever heard that story? Back in 1954, before 1954, it was believed that no human being, and it was proven by doctors and proven by psychologists, and they had run all these tests, that nobody could run and break a mile in under 4 minutes.
I know, I can't do that.
Yeah, and a lot of people can. So Roger Banister was a doctor, and he decided that he was going to do it. And so up until that time, this is like for forever how long they've been timing mile runs, right? Mm-hmm. And so he did, in May of 1954, he actually broke the 4-minute mile to 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Mm-hmm. The amazing thing about that, so this was that group paradigm that the entire world had, other than Roger Banister.
And what's crazy about that paradigm is people actually thought your heart would explode if you ran that fast.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the thinking.
It was physically impossible to do
who's really actually going to try to do it?
Right. And so then 6 weeks later, there was a guy, so he breaks the 4-minute mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. And then 6 weeks later, somebody else does it in 3 minutes and 57 seconds. And then over the next year in 1955, 37 people did it. And then the following year in 1956, over 300 people did it.
Come on.
Yeah. So a paradigm, they're kind of meant to be broken, right?
Well, so here's the crazy thing about a paradigm. I want you to think about this for a minute. The sneaky thing about paradigms is that we don't really recognize them as beliefs. We see them as truths. So if you think about Paul's story about Bannister, everybody thought it was the truth that you couldn't run a mile in less than 4 minutes.
Right.
And so they would not have said that's a belief. They would say, oh no, that's a scientific fact.
Yeah.
But it was in fact just a paradigm. And we have these paradigms that run rampant all through our worlds. As an example, the holiday paradigm. The paradigm that nobody works during the holidays. Well, let me tell you why that is your single biggest opportunity to crush your competition during the holidays, because that is what people believe. They take that as a fact. And so what's happening is they're not out calling on their customers. They're not out seeking new business and working it and just pounding the phones.
But that's because nobody wants them to do that. Like, people aren't receptive.
That's another paradigm.
Oh, that's a paradigm.
Oh, that's a paradigm.
Oh, so you're telling me, you're telling me that there are actually people out there that take advantage of this situation during the holidays and jump all over it because the vast majority of their competition is not going after the typical people that they would be. They're going to wait until after January when everybody else is doing it, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Just like at the gym.
Right. You're either in January, you're either at the gym or you're on the phone calling your prospects. Right. Yeah, no, that's totally true. You think that people don't want to be bothered during this time of the year. And so I want to give one of my all-time favorite holiday paradigm client examples. Okay. So we had a client, great businessman, super high productivity. He had a huge team that he was working with. He owned a marketing company, and he showed me his budget for the year. And when he showed me his budget, I all of a sudden saw the December numbers go way down. And I said, why are your numbers so far down in December? And he said, oh, well, that's just what has happened traditionally. Nobody's working during the holidays. So that's just what it is. Mm-hmm. And here's the greatest thing. He was so coachable. Yeah. So I totally started asking him some questions. Why is it that way? Well, it was because nobody's working. And I said, so what is your team doing during that time? Well, they're just kind of cleaning up year-end things. And I'm like, so your team's not working? And he just really got clear that he did not have them doing their typical activity because his belief was nobody out there is working in the month of December. Yeah. So I challenged him and I said, what if you could come up with a new story?
So why don't you coach me through that?
Okay. So we'll call you Chuck. Chuck will be our client.
Okay.
So Chuck, your numbers are way down in December in terms of projections. Why is that?
I see that it happens the way every year it's the same way.
Okay, got it. Why?
Because people just are kind of slowing down. They got a lot of other distractions going on. They're doing shopping, they're decorating the house, they're taking care of their kids, there's family, there's a lot of things to plan for.
A lot of stuff going on. What's your team doing during that time?
My team they're pretty much kind of doing the same thing, except we're just cleaning up for the year.
Okay. And so you're suggesting that your team is actually not out there doing their typical activity in terms of production in December. Is that right?
No. For the most part, everybody's really kind of planning for next year because we're going to hit it hard next year. We're going to have our best year ever.
Got it. Okay. So that's a great story, Chuck. Thank you for sharing that story with me. What if you told me a brand new story? What if you created a new story that looked completely different in December from what you've had in the past? What would that story be like?
So if I could just make up any story, if I could just make up any story, and even if it's not true, right?
Yeah, just make it up.
Doesn't matter.
What do you want to have in December?
So in December, what if I could have the best month out of the year? What if not only could I have the best month out of the year, but I could start building relationships maybe at these holiday parties that could launch me into next year and even blow it up even more. Right?
Okay. So I like that story, but what about the fact that people are focused on the holidays? What do you do with that?
Well,
if your sales team gives you pushback and says, I can't go call on people because they really don't want to, they're focused on the holidays.
Well, if you just say, hey, well, maybe that's the best opportunity because that person that you're calling on isn't getting barraged right now because everybody else is doing what we're doing, which is not calling on people. So why don't we take advantage of that?
Okay, got it. So people actually have time on their hands in December. And you sell that story to your team. If they were to buy into this concept of the best December ever, what do you think might happen?
Well, considering it's all about belief, and it's possible that if you believe that it may come true, right? Then who knows? Maybe it will.
Do you think that your team would take different actions if they had that kind of belief system? Like, let's just pretend for a minute that you're compelling enough in convincing your team that December is the single biggest opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to take different actions?
I would imagine they would be.
Okay. Yes. So what's really interesting is most business owners, most leaders will focus their thinking on, let's try to change our actions and get different results. And our point is you actually have to change the thinking first. You have to change the belief or the paradigm before you can ever think about changing these actions. So Chuck had to go talk to his team, convince his team, sell this whole new story that was going to be in conflict with their existing paradigm, of course.
Right.
But I knew that he was good enough that he could totally do it. And I think you probably know the end of the story. The end of the story was not only did they reach their December goals and make it their single best month of the year, they actually eclipsed the goals that they set.
They broke the 4-minute mile.
They totally broke their 4-minute mile. And you know what's amazing is I believe, and you know what, outside of this conversation, I actually want to reach out and I'm going to ask him if that's still the case. But he kind of set that as the new paradigm going forward. And I know that in years following, he would have December projected as his biggest month, which is kind of cool, right? So that is my favorite holiday paradigm story. And of course, it starts with the thinking, but we're going to also give you just a few really super simple action steps or strategies for what you can do practically to also help minimize the stress of the holidays and get yourself into that productivity.
Okay.
Do you want to start with a tip or do you want me to
You
start?
Start with the tip.
I'll start with one. Okay, as Paul mentioned earlier, there's kind of a lot of stuff that we have to do to prepare for the holidays, especially if you've got people visiting from out of town, just the holiday shopping, putting up the lights, you name it. If you're parents and you have to hide that stupid elf all over the house, you've actually got to prepare in advance. So one of the tips I have for you is write down everything that's up here and get it on a piece of paper. Everything that you need to do over the holidays, and get it all put in writing so that you're not stressed out trying to remember it all, and start to plan just little bits and pieces of when you're going to check each of those things off your list, so you don't all of a sudden end up close to the holidays with like doing the last minute shopping, which would make you want to kill yourself. So that's one of the tips.
Yeah.
Do you have another one?
And I think another one is, just going to the holiday parties, like I mentioned, instead of just going there just to go, or maybe you aren't even that excited about because there's so many of them, go there with some type of idea of what you want to accomplish, right? So there's lots of opportunities there to build relationships. I would highly recommend not getting too drunk.
From experience? Yes, from experience. Okay.
Right? So, but going there with a goal and really looking for the opportunity to build this. So
build relationships. Yep. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. And you think about holiday parties, we all have a paradigm around holiday parties. Some of us just can't wait. I happen to be one of them. I love holiday parties. I am so excited about every holiday party. And then there are other people who sometimes get oh my God, we got to go to another holiday party. So there's an option there too to really check your paradigm and shift it. What do I have? Another one. Okay. So when you come up with whatever your year-end goal is, what is that productivity goal that you want to hit by year-end? Just come up with a super simple action plan. What is your daily activity that's really going to help you get to the goal? So as an example, I'm going to throw out one that we have for our business, one that I took on myself. It's going to sound so stinking stupid and simple, but I invite you to take it on if you're not already doing it. And that is one outbound phone call per day to a relationship, to an existing client, a past client, or a prospect who you've always wanted to work with. One outbound phone call per day where you actually have a phone call conversation, not a text, not an email, conversation with someone to just continue to develop the relationship and potentially business.
Right.
It's an amazing strategy because most people are hiding behind emails and text messages.
Awesome strategy. Let's wrap it up.
Let's do it.
Let's finish it up. Go ahead.
All right. The holidays are your single biggest opportunity to crush your competition because productivity is not happening most anywhere else. So take advantage of it and go get it.
Hey, and so thank you so much for joining us on the Evolve to Win show. If you thought this was interesting, please share it. Next week, we will be talking about the breakdown and the breakthrough. So join us.
That's a great one.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.